Greetings, I am Lies.
And I am Scandal.
And let's play a game together.
Yes.
All right, so my friend here is going to be our good protag, Splat, is going to be a little desperate in this one. Because they are desperately.
You know what? I just gotta desperately grasp at something that I can relate to at the barest of minimum levels, because oh my god, I cannot freaking function. I don't literature. I don't even book.
Right.
Like, the teacher sort of looks at me and it's just kind of like, I'm not even going to ask you anymore because I know you haven't read the textbook. And I'm like, you're right! You've learned a lesson! At this rate, Yuri might as well be having a conversation with a rock! But I'm a very pretty rock.
Because
so,
rocks
you
read more than I do.
But like, a rock that isn't me. Because, yeah, probably rocks read more than I do. Let's be perfectly clear here.
And they don't have as cool of a story.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, like, my story is going to go into college, and then they will totally tell the story of me and my college, and it's going to be level 202. And they will totally love it. And everyone will tell stories about it, and they'll do, what do they call it?
A biography.
Literature
about
it?
No, write something.
They'll do a thing about it where they analyze it, and I can't remember what it is, and it doesn't matter, but I will be brilliant, and I will be on the list, and it will be in class 203, and it'll be amazing, and everyone will love it. All right.
Oh, really, honey? I wouldn't have expected that, Yuri. For someone as gentle as you? I guess you could say that. But if a story makes me think or takes me to another world, then I really can't put it down.
Oh my god, snore. I mean, wait, what? I actually fell asleep, sorry.
Hold on, story. That's not a book. That's like a game or like a manga.
Oh, I can get totally into that. It'll be great. Like, what I'm going to go do is read all of my comic books.
Which is
not just
reading.
manga.
Oh.
Like, absolutely. Like, there's totally a legit difference. Like, manga versus comic books, you just do not understand. One uses the visual medium in order to tell a story, and the other one uses a visual medium in order to tell a story. But they're completely different.
I was gonna say,
absolutely.
One uses a visual medium to tell a story, and the other one uses imagery to convey information.
I love being that ridiculously pedantic, though. Sometimes it's so funny.
All right,
Good job, Fred. Because
also, I just was expecting Splat to be like, and you know your name? There's a whole section of things to read in your name.
I was going to get there at some point, so my friend has spoiled it, but that's okay.
No,
Can't put it down.
Surreal horror is often very successful at...
Yeah, this is meta.
Changing the way you look at the world. If only for a brief moment. I'm not talking about the game at all.
No.
Or about the media we're in at all.
No.
I don't nod to paying attention to things here. Suddenly Sayori flings in, yeah, and remember that fiction doesn't always mirror reality really well, but it can be a good lens to analyze it with.
Yeah, you're so totally boring, Sayori. I'm sorry. What?
Oh, sorry.
I hate horror.
Oh, why is that?
Natsuki's eyes dart over to me for a split second, and I kind of wonder very briefly if she's, into, shonen, because, shonen is super hardcore and awesome, and I feel like she's, a shonen protagonist, though obviously her gender completely throws her out, because who wants to read a shonen story that doesn't involve shonens?
That has non-shonens at the forefront of it.
At the forefront and doesn't have titties, because clearly that's the whole point of shonens. Whenever you have girl characters, if they have no titties, they are not interesting, and they must therefore spend the entire time defending the fact that they have no titties, because, guy authors literally don't know what it's like to be a girl at all, and think that it's some weird foreign element that just because your body does some particular, dramatic change, that clearly you're some other abominable creature that just came up from the pit.
See, and of the four of them, obviously Natsuki's the worst possible choice, given, her particular arrangement.
I know, right? She's just terrible. You'd never see it on there. Never mind.
That's right. You actually like to write about cute things, don't you, Natsuki?
Oh, she writes and she cooks, or like she bakes. That's adorable.
That's super cute. And I like cute things, not people who are going to destroy them with their horror.
I wonder if she's going to be like the meanest character. So there's a thing. Okay, so I apologize. I'll explain a little bit. So whenever I've sometimes run into people who really like cute things, I have run into this thing in the online community where lots of them also tend to be really aggressive and fairly mean.
Okay.
And it's a weird thing. Have you run into it a lot in real life?
I was going to say, does anybody know who the artist Lisa Frank is? Back from in the 90s, all the rainbow unicorns and rainbow puppies and the golden retrievers with ice cream and bubble gum and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like everybody had a folder, and my mom had to like bust them out and show them to me, and I'm like, I am going to have retro folders for days. It was amazing.
Yes.
I'll say, but like, yeah, so like rainbow unicorn horns and stuff, but they were like stickers were everywhere. They used to be in those like old vending machines and things. Anyway, so people actually were at one point I ran into a post telling who Lisa Frank is, and she's the most like straight-laced, serious, resting bitch face of I draw cute things as a professional artist, thank you, person as far as I can tell.
Right?
And I'm just like, whoa.
You're like, you are hardcore. Which is not to say that people can't be professional who do cute things. But if I'm saying like in terms of like when I've ever interacted with individuals who've done like fandom
but more
stuff.
like being defensive of like for professional reasons. I am a professional artist.
Professional.
Anyway,
professional.
and so what I think my friend is driving at. Anyways, that's a bigger example that people might know. But yeah, in individual fandoms and things, it's like a lot of people that draw a lot of the darker stuff that we've encountered are really friendly and very open and very accepting. And those who are like cutesy, fluffy, cutesy can tend to be really aggressive and like really strict sometimes.
Yeah, well, and that's not a bad thing, but it is also an interesting, basically, like, I don't want to know if I call it like dichotomy or like extreme, like just polarizing element, basically, where it's just like, this seems almost like hypocritical because but also like whenever I've run into anybody who's like a true horror fan or somebody who really likes basically dark material, they've also tended to be really friendly and really nice because they're like, I've gotten out a lot of my anger or my rage or whatever else, or I'm very aware of how things can be messed up, or just going, this is a fantasy and I know it's a fantasy, versus people who are like, no, it's so cute and I must defend it. And you're like, whoa.
There is definitely some level of knowing where to engage with your internal challenges and being able to let your stress out.
Yes.
And if you have an experience of going, all the world must be cute because it must be cute because dark things can't, that just sucks and it can't happen, then you often are denying part of yourself and are a bit repressed, to be honest.
Though honestly, we're not professionals, so I won't be giving anybody necessarily any advice here. It's just an interesting observation that I've had of being like, it does seem like people who tend to be like, here's all my cute fluffy stuff, tend to be a little bit more aggressive in terms of like socialization or like when you actually get to know them sometimes, and I'm like, I don't know how to do with you.
I was like, and it, again, doesn't mean this is pervasive, doesn't mean this is a standard, but it's what we've experienced in our social circles.
Yes, absolutely.
And it has been a thing. And again, not professionals, but there is an element of psychology of it's important to acknowledge all pieces of yourself.
Yeah.
And that is how we move through them rather than be fixated.
And that's also the thing of what you use fantasy for, in my experience, is to use fantasy because that way you don't hurt real actual people, and you put it into a place where it is basically safe for you to express whatever emotion or whatever feeling or whatever thing you're looking for, and then move on back into the real world with basically new knowledge, new information, or basically you've given yourself a vent so that you know where to put that energy.
Yes. One of the coolest things that I like about fantasy is that if you are fascinated, fixated on, or very just like you can't put down an idea of some kind, that you can explore it safely in fantasy. Well, and some people really can get unhappy with going, I can't stop thinking about this thing that I feel is unacceptable, and going, if you put it in a fantasy context, it's completely safe. There's no people there to harm.
Yeah, there is nobody to harm. Well, there really isn't. And I get, especially if you like keep it to yourself kind of thing, because you don't have to share it.
No, not at all.
Another thing is, well, like, I'm not telling people not to share it, because sometimes it really is one of those things that I've run into where some artists are really just like, it's been really nice to be able to share it, because you realize going like, I had convinced myself that I was so gross or so disgusting or whatever else.
Only person in existence.
But also going like, I had convinced myself this stuff was real because I was alone and I was isolated with my work, and that's basically a thing of people going, this clearly isn't real. Why would somebody ever do that? But it's been really interesting. All right, we're gonna move on. Sorry. What gives you that idea?
You left a piece of scrap paper behind last club meeting. It was adorable. It looked like you were working on a poem called,
Don't say it out loud. And give that back.
Fine. Just, you can have it back. No worries. I didn't throw it away or anything. Your cupcake
your whole existence.
Everything you do is just as cute as you are.
Oh.
She's so pissed off about this.
I
am valid and not dismissible as cute.
Honestly, it is actually, so there was an interesting, speaking of basically a sort of like hilarious sort of call out, but I've seen it happen to some people who go, I am a grown-ass adult and I look like a child. And I've watched people over and over and over and over again who are like, all right, so I'm 35 and everybody keeps asking to see my ID. I'm 36 and I keep having this thing. I'm in my 40s and I have people going, hey, honey, where's your mom? Like, I've seen this happen of people complaining on Twitter and wherever else. And I'm like, I really hope Natsuki in that way doesn't necessarily have to experience that, because I've experienced that being an adult myself. I actually, God, you guys want to, okay, stupid story. So one time I went to go actually get help with my phone and I went over to the phone service place. It was T-Mobile. And I went in there and I was like, hey, by the way, this thing. And they were like, oh, honey, do you want to wait for your mom?
I know.
And I was like,
Aww.
excuse me? But I was so confused and they were ridiculously refusing to help me. I was kind of hurt. And so I was kind of confused. And me being socially awkward, I went away because I didn't know what else to do. I'm like, you literally won't believe that I'm an adult. Like, at all. Like, I had just gotten off of work, where I work for over 8 hours, where I'd worked for over 8 hours that day. I think, honestly, I'd worked like a 10-hour shift or something like that, and I was tired.
It's like, I've worked the night shift, I've come in here in your late morning hours, because that's when you open, and I've been up.
Oh, no, this is a different story. This is actually back when I worked at the warehouse that I was working at.
And then once you came in the evening, just barely in time.
Yeah, barely in time, and that was the thing where I was trying to get help with my phone, and my friend was eventually going to show up, so I was kind of talking about my friend at the same time, because we knew each other at that time as well. But it was really frustrating, and I'm like, I can see it where it's like you feel really dehumanized and also just not seen as a person, going, you know, you're a child and we should treat children like they're incapable. And I really feel for the people in our crowd who are identified as being kids, because my God, it is still irritating being an adult and people going, wow, honey, do you need help? And you're like, stop being patronizing.
We have bitched off really hard, especially in Lily's Garden, if you want to hear some opinions on how adults treat children by and large, at least based on our experience and the media experience, and how people write children, etc., especially like in English American titles kind of thing.
No kidding.
I'll say that there's this experience of not thinking of children as people, and so when adults remind you of children, they're dehumanized to a point of being treated like children. And let me tell you, when I remember being a child, and which I mean I do, like, there was this experience of going, there was all the time when I was hurt by being dismissed, by not being taken seriously, by having people give up on me, etc., etc., etc. And like, I never want to do that to another adult, let alone another kid, because it's just so frustrating.
Yeah.
And I have been in Sayori's position in some ways of going...
Not Sayori, this is going to be Natsuki.
Sorry, Natsuki's position, that's what I meant. I was going to say, of going, people just go, you're so cute, we can't talk about anything in front of you.
Though I will say, just as an aside, I think Sayori is getting the same basically kind of treatment from your pro tag.
Oh, yeah.
There's definitely a level of dismissal of going, you're cute and adorable and you're stupid and you're an airhead, which is really sad.
I think that the trope is Natsuki, basically, for the young one. But I was going to say, for me, it was just that experience of going, I've always looked very young.
Yes.
And so when I was out in the adult world, there was a lot of times where I'd be trying to work with my coworkers in my first couple of jobs I had, and it would be like, they wouldn't have any conversation socially with me at all, because it's like, well, they wanted to talk about adult things, and I was the kid. And I'm like, I'm older than some of you.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, but you're just so sweet. I'm like, I'm really not. Actually, I just my face, okay? That's just how my face looks.
It's just what I look like.
It's fine. Just like, it's, yeah.
No,
anyway.
honestly, you want to think about another stupid thing that's happened to us? People will walk around and be like, are you guys siblings?
Oh my God.
And I'm like,
and to us, we look nothing alike. It's
oh
so
my
bad.
God. I'm also just like, you guys really, how many people are facial blind? A lot of people, apparently.
Have
like,
facial
damn,
blindness.
my friend at least will own up to it, but the rest of y'all are garbage fires.
It's
Like,
so
dang,
bad.
as cute as you are. Oh, Sayori slides up behind Natsuki and puts her hands on her shoulders. And for 2 seconds, my voice actor actually panicked and went, are you going to pull that stupid stereotype that for some freaking reason, anime characters go, let me grab the titties? Because
that's how you prove that someone's not a child, if they're, identified as a girl. You gotta look how mature they are.
And you go, that doesn't, see, this is also another thing where I go, this is clearly not reality, guys. Now, does that mean that there might be like some potentially implications for how we treat people coming through into our fiction? Absolutely. People basically write what they know. But
and
it's a thing to deal with.
they sort of, there's a lot of in fiction in the same way they did so in sci-fi of just driving things to their extreme logical conclusion.
Yes.
Which means that you're already on that road, because to drive further down that road to get to where you are, you had to be on that road to start.
Yes, absolutely. I'm not cute. Natsuki, you write your own poems?
Let's just change the subject.
What's a poem?
What's a poem?
I need to know. I do not understand. Well, I guess sometimes. Why do you care? I think that's impressive. I guess I don't even write. Actually,
Yeah.
I really legitimately just do not write. Why would I ever write? I am a work of art. People should draw me.
So, as a slime, it's really even hard enough just to hold books and game controllers. I do not try pencils and pens.
Screw that. I am truly a work of art. I am in something once in a while that I just don't know what it is. But I'm pretty sure, they call it, cubism? Quebism? I don't know what it's called. I saw somebody mention it once. It was really cool. Why don't you share them sometime? Because, it's a literature club and we need more words around here.
Because I assume all literature is just words, right?
Yeah.
And poems have words.
Poems are clearly literature.
Made of words.
That means all of my anime and my manga and my video games, because they have words? Oh my god! Real life is literature! Are we in literature?
We are in a literature.
Oh my god, am I somebody's problematic fave? That would be so cool! Oh my god!
Why don't you share them sometimes? Because I assume that since you don't want to share that one, that you would never share any ever. That's what I assume.
No! Natsuki averts her eyes, and I am a little surprised.
Okay.
To say the least.
So I need to take half a second here.
Yeah, go ahead.
And just talk about the visual conventions on the screen. So with this game, obviously we talked about how the graphics are very cute and some of it's very, very fun, and we like how expressive the models for the girls are. But I'm getting this solid experience of everyone running behind Splat and staring at the person talking every time we have only one person on screen.
Right?
And then you suddenly have another one walk around into our field of vision, and another one walk around into our field of vision, and then again, as soon as they're off screen, they run around and stood behind Splat and look over, their shoulder at whoever's talking.
The visual novel convention is hilarious here.
Because you just poof off the screen, and it's just the funniest thing to me sometimes. And the more I look at it, I'm like, there's gotta be another way to have them still be in the room, but not be in the conversation.
Right.
So they don't vanish or hide behind you, trolling over your shoulder to see what the other girl's gonna say every time they're not speaking.
Honestly, I feel like there should be some sort of convention to come up with it. Maybe it's so I actually saw one that was interesting at one point where they actually shadowed the characters.
When they weren't speaking?
When they were speaking. So you could have all of them on screen or in the position so you could scroll across them kind of thing, but they would shadow when they weren't basically in focus. Okay. Or they weren't talking, right?
I think I've seen games where they just bring it to the forefront. So they're all standing in line and one sort of steps forward to talk to you.
I've seen that one
but
too.
there are ways to do it to know who the focus is.
Isn't that I think
but
actually
I feel
I've
like
seen it
this,
in Fire Emblem.
This is trying to create a sense of intimacy in the moment of going, you are just focusing just on her.
Right.
But I still feel like there'd be a way to keep the other people here because they're clearly in earshot and haven't left the room.
Right.
And so I'm I appreciate in the sense of it being we want you to feel attached to this girl. We want there to be some level of theoretically either romantic or sexual tension in some way.
Right.
Of, because we've said that the protag thinks everyone's very attractive, right? They've said it on screen.
Right.
And so that experience. But I feel like it'd be cool if somebody just pushed it a little bit farther and went, let's make it a little bit more like real life, but still create that false sense of, or that sort of personal sense of intimacy that happens between two people in a conversation with many people where sometimes you just have a connective moment.
Right.
And you go, whoa.
Yeah.
No,
there's a way to do it. But other than that, she's going to have to avert her eyes and we're going to have to continue talking to her later. So thank you very much, guys, then for joining us. If you like what we do, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And please also feel free to share our videos if you like what we do.
Yes.
And want to have more fun with more people.
Woo!
Yay! Which we also like to do, to be perfectly honest.
Yes.
It's been so much fun. We actually just spent the day going through and answering a ton of questions, and it was super cool. Great, and answering comments though too, because some people did have a couple of questions or basically notes or basically commentary, which was really fun. And we loved answering those. Yes. But other than that, also if you want to support us more directly, please feel free to go check out our Ko-Fi. We've got there's actually some game links if you you want to go figure out if there's anything you want to sponsor, because this game was also sponsored.
Woo!
Which was super awesome. And also, please feel free to go check out our Patreon. Their link is also down below as well. Other than that, though, I have been Scandal.
And I have been Lies. And it
And
was great playing with you. Bye!